In a moment that should be straightforward, Pam Bondi froze and could not answer a simple question. It reveals just how dangerous the Justice Department has become. Senator Klobuchar's questioning of Attorney General Pam Bondi weren't theater. They were a prosecutor's spotlight on a basic question. When the president publicly targets people and tells the Attorney General, Pam, bring charges, is that a request for justice or a demand for political hits?
In 2018, after the Parkland shooting, you were Attorney General, and there was a bill called the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act. And the bill banned bump stocks, enacted red flag laws, and raised the minimum age to purchase a firearm in Florida from 18 to 21. And you actually defended the law in court from a challenge from the NRA. And we know that I'm in favor of an assault weapon ban, period. I look at these bills and I think, does this hurt my Uncle Dick in the deer stand? We have a proud tradition of hunting in Minnesota. I don't think they do. But as I talked to Director Patel, and he told me in the chair you are sitting in right now, that assault weapon bans could prevent future attacks. I talked to him about better background checks, about red flag laws, and then that perhaps we could find common ground on what actually happened in Florida, which would be to at least change the minimum age for purchasing assault weapon, because we've got 18 to 20-year-olds commit gun homicides at over triple the rate of adults 21 years and over, even though that wouldn't helped in Annunciation Church because he was a few years older. She was a few years older. But as you know, the shooter at Parkland was 19 years old, and the shooters in Buffalo and Uvalde were both 18 years old. So given your efforts in Florida, do you agree that at least raising the age for purchasing assault weapons could reduce the number of these shootings?
Senator, first, that's pending litigation, and I can't discuss that at all. The 21 is pending litigation. I cannot discuss that.
In Florida?
But if I could go back
I really
the
didn't know
21
this.
age is pending litigation. I can't discuss that. But Senator, back to what you said about what happened in Minnesota, there is no place for that. And I believe I spoke to you after that horrific, those murders. And I'm so sorry that happened. And all of my federal agencies were partnering with state agencies, working hand in hand in Minnesota. What I can tell you about the Second Amendment is this is the most pro-Second Amendment DOJ in American history, as you know. But we want to keep guns, as you said, where they should be, in the hands of law-abiding American citizens, while keeping them out of the hands of criminals and gangs. Since January 20th, the ATF and FBI have seized more than 30,000 illegal guns.
I have 10 minutes.
30,000.
You have
Senator
given these
Klobuchar.
statistics, and I truly appreciate those statistics. But what I was just trying to get at was something where maybe we could find common ground on a bill that you actually defended in court in a state, which Director Patel seemed open to, and that was looking at, could we at least raise the age to 21 of the purchase of an assault weapon federally, while states look at banning these weapons overall, given these little babies that this gun is used to kill. So we can talk about it later, but that was my question, and you don't want to answer it.
No, it's pending litigation, Senator.
Okay.
Listen to what Klobuchar does here. She begins from the human, the grief and horror of mass shootings, and then moves deliberately into the legal and institutional. She reminds Pam Bondi of the time when, as Florida Attorney General, Bondi defended a common-sense law increasing the minimum age for certain gun purchases. Klobuchar is trying to find common ground. If Bondi once defended a law designed to prevent violence, surely she understands the value of law over politics. But the heart of the exchange is the Truth Social post, the public pressure from the president. We can't delay any longer, Pam. Not bringing criminal charges are killing our reputation. That's not legal advice. It's a command broadcast to millions.
But your views on this is not pending litigation. So I want to get to the independence of the Justice Department. At your nomination hearing, I specifically asked you to provide assurance to every member of this committee that the Justice Department will only follow the facts and the law, and the White House will play no role in the cases investigated or brought. You stated in response, this was you, politics will not play a part in my decisions. And you also said the Justice Department must be independent and must act independently. Do you believe that you have upheld that commitment?
I absolutely have upheld that commitment, Senator. I pledged that I would end the weaponization also of the Justice Department and that America would once again have a one-tier system of justice for all. And that is what we are doing in this country.
We saw this with the president directing an investigation prosecution of Chris Krebs, the former head of cybersecurity, Lisa Cook, who is a current governor of the Federal Reserve, Director Comey. And the president, and I know you have said that you will not discuss discussions you've had with the president about Comey. Is that correct? That you won't testify here about that? Because I was going to ask you if you received advice, instruction, or request from anyone at the White House to direct the department to engage in any investigations, prosecutorial actions, including decisions not to investigate or prosecute anyone.
I'm not going to discuss any
Okay.
conversations.
But then how about the Truth Social post on September 20th, 2025, in which the president said, "We can't delay any longer, Pam," using your name, "not bringing criminal charges are killing our reputation," his words, "and credibility." And then goes on to tell you to prosecute a member of this committee, to prosecute the Attorney General of New York, and to prosecute James Comey. Do you consider that a directive to the Justice Department?
Senator Klobuchar, President Trump is the most transparent president in American history, and I don't think he said anything that he hasn't said for years.
Okay, it has been reported that you initially pushed back against requests by senior Trump administration officials to push out or fire the acting U.S. Attorney in Virginia, Eric Siebert, who's a conservative Republican, who made the decision that the evidence was not there to prosecute Comey. What made you change your opinion?
I am not going to discuss personnel decisions.
Okay. Is it true that the career prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia found that there was insufficient evidence to bring criminal charges against former Director Comey?
I am not going to discuss pending cases because Comey was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia by, I may point out, one of the most liberal grand juries in the country.
An independent Justice Department is not a nicety. It's a pillar of the rule of law. Prosecutors are supposed to follow evidence, not headlines. They are supposed to respect grand juries and career attorneys who build cases based on facts and law. When a president exhorts an attorney general in public, naming targets, urging prosecutions, it forces that attorney general into a bind: follow the evidence or follow the boss. Klobuchar's questioning points to the consequences when the choice is made for politics. She presses Bondi on whether the AG received advice, instruction, or request from anyone at the White House to direct investigations. Bondi refuses to answer. That refusal matters. Klobuchar then ties the conversation to concrete actions taken by the department: firings of career prosecutors, interference in personnel decisions, and questions about whether top officials were pressured to remove a U.S. attorney who wouldn't bring politically favored charges. These aren't abstract accusations. Career prosecutors, the people who spend decades mastering the law and building cases, were pushed out after doing their jobs. One national security chief, someone who had spent 20 years prosecuting crimes against service members, was dismissed after right-wing commentators slammed him. Explain to viewers what that means. When you replace career experts with political appointees who are accountable to a president's popularity contest, you don't just lose institutional memory, you change incentives. Suddenly, the DOJ's highest priority isn't justice, it's pleasing the political leadership. Klobuchar also presses on the limits of what Bondi will discuss: ongoing personnel decisions, pending litigation, and internal conversations. Some of that restraint is understandable. Legal prudence and personnel confidentiality have a role. But when the pattern is consistent, public pressure from the president, followed by firings or prosecutorial reversals, silence becomes complicit. Klobuchar makes the case that accountability requires answers even if they're uncomfortable. Another piece of the exchange deserves emphasis: the department's changing posture on press freedom. Under updated guidelines, DOJ can subpoena journalists. Klobuchar asks directly whether such subpoenas have been used. The question matters because subpoenaing reporters chills investigative work and risks turning whistleblowers into prosecutable sources. A free press is essential when the Justice Department itself is under scrutiny. If the department uses its power to silence scrutiny, democracy loses one of its most vital checks. Klobuchar skillfully threads these separate concerns into a single narrative: the erosion of norms, the weaponization of law, and the human toll. Whether it's the families of shooting victims, the career prosecutors doing the work, or the public whose trust in institutions is being corroded. She reframes Bondi's past record, defending gun safety laws in Florida, to highlight how dangerous it is when prosecutors become political actors, not guardians of impartial justice. The implicit lesson for viewers is simple but urgent. Institutions only work when people in power respect the rule of law more than their political fortunes. For people watching at home, here's what to take away and what you can do. First, understand that the independence of the Justice Department is not a partisan luxury, it's a democratic necessity. When presidents publicly demand prosecutions and when AGs refuse to answer whether they were pressured, we should all be alarmed. Second, pay attention to personnel moves in the DOJ and whether career prosecutors are being sidelined. That's often where the real change happens.